Hi and welcome to another video in my Photoshop Essential Skills series. Now today I want to look at an amazing feature called Content Aware Scale. Now this in essence is a transform tool, but it is so much more. Transform will squish or stretch the pixels evenly. Content Aware will scale intelligently. It'll look at the pixels, and where there's low frequency information, such as over here, where there's lots of things, it doesn't change much. It will squish the heck out of it. Now if there's high frequency information, like over here where we've got lots of detail and contrast edges, it'll try not to squish it as much if we're lucky, or if we're really lucky, it won't squish it at all. Now it really is an amazing tool, but you have to pick the right image. If you have an image that's got a lot of detail across the whole of the image, then it could fail quite badly. Here you see we've got lots of low frequency areas in the sky, we've got lots of low frequency areas in this sea. What we can do, we've got some little tiny bits of detail in it, but the majority of the detail is in this half of the image here. So what we're going to try and do in this exercise is change this landscape image into a portrait image by using Content Aware Scale. Now don't forget, if you're a fan of the printed page or want to work along with me, don't forget to check the More area under video and download the free ebook and my work files. Okay then, let's dig in. Okay, here we've got the image we're going to work on today, and it is really an image of two halves. Here we've got some really low frequency data information in the sky and the sea, and here we've got some much more high frequency that we'd like to preserve this if we could. So the object of the exercise, I'm going to try and convert this landscape image into a portrait image, and we're going to do that with Content Aware Scale. Now first I've got a couple of guides that I've put on for you. Now if they're not visible, like they're not here, then if you go up to the view menu and go down to show and then guides, and these guides will then appear. There's a natty little keyboard shortcut for viewing and not viewing your guides, and that is Control on Windows or Command on a Mac and your semicolon key, and that switches them off and back on again. Okay, now let's have a look in the layers panel. Now we can see here that we've got one layer document, but it's a background layer and it's got a padlock on, and I want to get rid of that because I want to use this because transform won't work on any background layer. So I'm going to just click the padlock, or you can rename the layer, and we're going to turn it just into a normal layer. And I'm going to rename this Original, which isn't very original, but there we have it. Anyway, okay, now what I want to do, because we're going to do this a couple of different ways, and we're going to use Transform, and we're going to use Content Aware Scale to try and see the difference between them. So I'm going to duplicate this layer, and I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut for that, which is Control and J, or Command and J if you're on a Mac. And I'm going to call this Transform. Right, now so it just doesn't get in as way, I'm just going to turn the visibility off by clicking on the visibility eye of the layer underneath, my original layer. So now my transform layer is selected and it's visible, so we're good to go. So next I'm going to transform this image, so I'm going to go up to the edit menu and I'm going to go down to transform and I'm going to go down to scale, and you can see straight away we get the familiar transform control handles. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this one in the middle here and I'm going to scale it across like that, drag it right across until I come to that line and say, no, that's pretty good. And then what I'll do is I'll just drag this up a little bit and then just accept that. So I can either click the tick up there, or I can double click inside the transform. And now we can see that there's some of this image that's gone off the top and it's gone behind what they call the pasteboard. This dark area is called the pasteboard. Now if I want to see all that, what I've got to do is go to Image and Reveal All. And this will reveal everything up to the document bounds. So here we can see we've got this image and it's pretty crummy really when you compare it to the original. Everything's been scaled. What Transform's done is it's squished everything evenly right across the image. So this jetty here that I'd like to have as it was has been really heavily squished. Okay, so that's not really any good to us. So what we'll do now, I'll put the original layer back on and I'll switch the transform layer off, and then I'll click back on the original layer because I want to duplicate this again. So again, I'm going to use Control or Command and J, and we'll call this CA for Content Aware. And now we'll try to do exactly the same thing again. But just so it doesn't confuse us again, I'll just turn off that bottom layer, the visibility of that bottom layer. And now what I'm going to do is go to Edit and Content Aware Scale. Get the familiar transform handles again, but this is where the magic happens. This is different. So what I'm going to do again, I'm going to grab that center little control handle and I'm going to drag it across. Now you can see, I'll do it slowly. You can see those little ships, little boats getting closer together, but look at the jetty. There's nothing happening to the jetty until I get really close to here, and then it does squish it a little bit, but I'm going to push it to the end and think, hey, that's not bad. That really has maintained all the detail in these mountains and the jetty. Now I'll just try and stretch it up. I'll click and drag and take it up to that top guide, and again that's done a really good job with them clouds. Now there may be some little bits like down here that you may have to do a little bit of repair job on with the cloning or healing, but that really is a fantastic job that it's done. Okay, I'm going to double click to accept that, and it may take a while because this is a really processor intensive command. And there we have it. By the magic of video editing, we've scooted past all the boring bit. Okay, so now we can see that we've two different options. So if we just look at that as an original one, where we're really just wanting to maintain all that detail and squish these. Now these three little boats get mashed up together, but for me, I'm not bothered about that. I think that looks really cool. So we've got Transform, where it really didn't do any good. Everything is squished, everything is at wrong angle, it's not good. But Content Aware gives us a really good rendition of everything that was in that image, and it's now as a portrait. I'll just turn that off just so you can see it in all its glory, and I think that is really good. Now the final thing is we've got a lot of these transparent pixels. We need to get rid of them. So that's cool. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to go up to the image menu and I'm going to go down to trim. And when I click trim, I get a little dialog box, and it normally comes up by default as transparent pixels. So what this is going to do is strip away any of the transparent pixels. And if I click OK, it drops that back. So now my document is the right size and format. Well, that's it for our little journey into the wonders of Content Aware Scale. I do hope you liked it. If you did, give me a thumbs up or leave a comment under the video for me. Or share it with a friend or two. If you think my videos have been useful, feel free to share them. Now don't forget to check out the more area under the video for the link to the free ebook and my work files. And please click that subscribe button at the end so when I upload a new video, you are the first to know. I'll see you with the next video. Bye for now.